What up, guys? My camera died, so it cut off my video. So, as I was saying, he put my hand on his private and he made me rub it up and down. There was a time on a weekend, I don't know where my cousin was. I guess she went to go visit her dad in prison, and she went with her grandma and her twin brothers. And I think she went for the day, or she was gone for the weekend, or one night. I'm not too sure. He had asked my aunt if I could go with him, and I was hoping and I thought she would say no. Well, she said yes. So I went with him. I don't know where he asked for us to go, but we got in the Jeep, and I don't really remember if I was sitting in the back seat or the front seat, but we were driving, and I didn't know where we were going. He didn't really say. We were just driving. This street gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's creepy AF. Every time I pass through there, not when I don't need to, only when I do need to drive through that street, my stomach turns into a big old ball and I get very nauseous. So anyways, we drive and we turn down the street, and there to the left there's a ditch, and then to the right, going south, there's a dirt road that you could drive back and forth up that road. And then to the right of it, the dirt road, there's houses. I don't know how many houses there was or what, but he ended up getting in the back seat with me, and he got on top of me. He started kissing me, and he started fondling me. I don't know if he saw someone or someone was walking by. I don't know what happened, but whatever happened, thank the good Lord, because he stopped. He got off me, he got in the driver's side, and we started driving. And we drove back to my aunt's house. When I got back to the house, I wasn't talking. I was just freaking out, and I was in shock. But like I said before, I wasn't going to tell my aunt anything because I didn't want her to lose her baby. She was already having complications with him, and she had already had 4 to 5 miscarriages anyways. A couple days go by and we go to a party. I don't know if it was a Christmas party or a birthday party, and we're all with our family. Well, we get back from the party, and I remember everything that I was wearing that day. I was wearing, these Wranglers. They were pink, and I was wearing a Western shirt and some ropers. I think that's what they're called, the boots. And so I got home, my cousin got home, and my aunt got home. I guess my aunt went to sleep, and my cousin must have went to sleep, or maybe my cousin was still up. And he used to stay in the living room a lot. He would stay watching TV or hanging out in the living room very late sometimes. So I went to sleep and I was getting ready to go to bed. Well, I went into the room where I stood and I started taking off my pants. And I took off my pants up into my knees, and he walks in the door. Well, back in those days, they didn't have locks, so the door lock didn't lock. It was just that turn twist, I guess. Just you push it in and turn it. So he got in there somehow, and he was in the room. And I was sitting down. My pants were to my knees. And he walks up to me, and I'm just like sitting there like, like what the heck? And he makes me stand up. I stand up. And he pulls down my panties, and he tries to stick his penis in my private. And I'm screaming at this time because it hurts. So I start screaming, and he covers my mouth, and he tells me stuff in Spanish. I don't know what he was saying. I don't even remember. It's been so long. And my cousin hears me scream, but I didn't know this at the time. So he leaves after I'm screaming. He tells me whatever he's telling me. He leaves out the door, and I'm just like freaking out, like what the heck? pull up my panties, I take my clothes off and I put on my pajamas. I get in the bed and I'm like, what the heck? I don't want to fall asleep. I need to stay awake. I need to stay awake. Don't let me fall asleep. And I guess I passed out. The next thing I know is I wake up to him with his hand on my head, and he's doing the motions, and his private is in my mouth. He makes his mess within seconds or a minute maybe, and he makes his mess in my mouth, and I'm just like so disgusted. He leaves out the room right away, and I get up and I'm in the bathroom because there's a bathroom right in that room, and I'm scrubbing my teeth and I'm spitting, and this taste is this disgustingness thing I can ever have in my mouth, like gross. So I'm in the bathroom, I'm scrubbing my teeth like 10 times. I get in the shower, I take a shower, and I'm just like washing my body and just like crying, and I don't know what to do or what to say, and I'm just like crying. And my cousin comes in the door in my room that I was staying in, and she's like, what's going on? I heard you screaming. And I was just like crying, and she starts crying, and I sit her down on the floor and I go, I need to tell you some stuff. And sorry guys. I was like, I have to tell you some stuff that's been happening. So I go, he's been doing all these things to me, I said, and tonight he came in here and he almost did the R word, you know, the 4 little R word. And I started screaming, I said, and he stopped, he freaked out, and he left out the door, I said. And then when I guess he came back in when I had fallen asleep, and, you know, everything was in my mouth, and he did what he did, and I just got up now, and I've been scrubbing my teeth since, and we're gonna keep this between each other, and pinky swear we're not gonna say nothing to anybody. It's our little secret. And she was like, okay. I said, I don't want your mom to lose my cousin, and I don't want her to lose the baby. She's already had 4 or 5 miscarriages, so we're not gonna say anything. And she was crying, and she was like, but what if he ever does it to me, or what if he ever tries anything on me? And I was like, well, hopefully he won't, you know. So we just talked about things, we hugged each other, and we said that we weren't going to say anything to anybody or her mom. And I still stood there. I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell my aunt because, like I said, I didn't want her to lose the baby, so I just kept my mouth quiet. Well, there was like 2 days or like a day in between. He wouldn't bother me. I'd just go in the room and go to sleep. And then the third day or the second day, he would go into the room again, and same thing happened like he did with the first night. I'd get up, go scrub my teeth and my tongue again, and just be spitting and disgusted with everything. Again, two or 1 day would go by again, and then he would do the same thing. Like I said, I didn't tell my aunt or anything, so I didn't say anything. I didn't know how to say anything for me to go home either. So me and my cousins were talking to some guys that were there at the park, and they wanted us to sneak out, and we were like, yeah, sure, let's sneak out. I told my cousin. So we snuck out that night, and we went to the park that was out there by the trailer lot, and we were just hanging out, having fun, you know, doing cartwheels and jumping, running, you know, just having fun. We were pretty young, so we were just having fun outside. And all of a sudden, I guess my aunt knew that we had snuck out, or she woke up and she found out that we were not in our room. So she went looking for us, and when she found us, she smacked us both, and she said, "You're going home." Well, she didn't know that it was the best time of my life. I was excited. I was happy that I was going home. But when I got home, I was still not telling a soul. Everybody loved this guy. Everybody adored this guy. Everybody put this guy on a pedestal. So he could do no wrong. So I was so scared to say anything to my mom. I was scared to say anything to my dad. I didn't want to tell anybody. And my cousin wasn't going to say anything to no one either. So I stood quiet. I kept it a secret. I didn't say nothing to nobody. I started being cold towards my dad. My dad used to want to hug me, and I didn't want that. I would push him away. I didn't want him hugging me. He just didn't understand. He's like, "Why? I'm your dad, you know?" And I'm like, "I just don't. Just stop." And so he used to wonder why I was pushing him away. He didn't know why, but he used to wonder all the time and ask me. And I just said, "Just leave me alone. I just don't want to hug." So as time went by, I didn't say anything to no one. Kept my mouth quiet. And at this time, my sister used to be really mischievous. Oh my gosh, she was always getting into trouble. So she always used to have me going with her places and sneaking out sometimes, and we'd go on the four-wheeler and we'd go riding, and sometimes we weren't allowed to, so we knew we were coming back home and we were getting a good spanking. So my sister was always first because she was the oldest, and then I was the second, so I would get spanked the second, and I would be in trouble because I would go follow her. But she was the main person that got in trouble because she was the oldest. So he would hit us and stuff. So we got smart, and we're like, next time he hits us, next time he spanks us, we're double pantsing ourselves so he doesn't hit us. And if he hits us, it's not gonna hurt us. So we'd put sweats under our pants or jeans, or we would put 2 pairs of sweats on or 2 pairs of pants, so when he would hit us, it didn't hurt. So we used to do that. He used to hit us with the paddle sometimes too, that he got from church, and sometimes he would hit us with his belt, and ooh, that used to hurt really bad. And sometimes he would kick us, and his heel of the sharp part of the boot would hit us. Hurt our butts, and oh my gosh, that used to hurt. But I was a good kid. I really didn't get into too much trouble. I wasn't a kid that always wanted to do things because I knew I didn't want to get hit. But my sister, oh my gosh, she would always make me go with her. So I'd go with her, and we'd always get hit. So my sister started liking girls, so she was a stud. Well, back in those days, they weren't called studs. I think they were called dykes. And my dad didn't like the fact that, she liked girls. So he used to be really ugly to my sister, call her names, used to say things to her that a father shouldn't tell their daughter. So he was really mean to her, really hurtful things, things that you don't tell your kid. But he used to. Like I said, he was an ugly kind of guy. His mouth was really ugly, so. He used to hit my sister. My sister would do things too, sometimes without me. And she would leave sometimes and come back really late. And she was in trouble. So one time he was choking her, and he had her choking up against the door, and she was turning purple and blue. And I had to tell my mom, tell him something, do something. He's gonna kill her if you don't make him stop. She's already turning purple and blue. And so finally my mom said something, and he dropped her, let go, and she fell on the floor. And he's all, "Well, then you deal with her, you parent her." And my mom's like, "Well, I will then." So yeah, that's how ugly my dad was. He was, I don't know what happened to him as a child or what, but He was just a mean guy. I remember one time my mom and my aunt were talking about how they got in the R word, the 4-letter word, when they were young. I guess my aunt got that happened to her too from an uncle, and she never told her mom or anything. My mom never told her parents until she was really older. So I didn't want to tell them, and they were talking about it. They were saying what had happened to each other when they were young, and I was sitting there, my cousin was sitting there, my other cousin, and then I asked them, because I kind of wanted to tell my aunt, but then I didn't, because I was kind of scared, and I didn't think they would believe me, so I didn't say anything. But I wanted to know the difference between the 4-letter R word was and molestation. So they told me, so then I knew that my uncle had molested me. So that day I just looked down, and I was just sad because I wanted to say something, but I didn't. So I just looked away, and my aunt said she kind of had a feeling that something was wrong, but I never said anything. So I came home, I went about my business, didn't say nothing about none of that. And as time went by, I was in middle school at the time, and I lived with my parents again. And like I said, they were just crazy, dysfunctional people. They'd always fight, and I guess my mom didn't want to be with my dad because he used to hit her and abuse her, so she wanted to leave him, but he never let her leave. He was really ugly, and he would tell her, no, you're not gonna leave. And sometimes she would want to take off and go in the car and leave, and he wouldn't let her. He would go outside and not let her go. He would grab the keys away from her. So she tried her best to leave him, but he never let her. So they're still together. They're still married to this day. So my dad used to just tell me that I was stupid and dumb and I was never going to amount to nothing. So I finally started going to school my freshman year. And when I started going to my freshman year of school, I just couldn't understand algebra. I couldn't understand stuff. And so then I started to think that maybe my dad was right. Maybe I was stupid and dumb. So I went to school half of my freshman year, and then the other half I just dropped out. Me and my friend used to go to the ditch, and we would tan, and we'd just ditch there and just get a tan on. We would go with some friends, and we would go drink. We'd drink some Jose Cuervo. We would get high. I started smoking cigarettes. I didn't like getting high really, because one time it was like I was running and I was walking. I was really walking, and when I was running it felt like I was walking, and I just didn't like that feeling, so I didn't want to smoke no more. And then I threw up, and I just was done smoking weed. So I stopped smoking weed at that time, and then I would drink some Jose Cuervo, and we would be at the ditch, and we'd just be drinking, and I threw up after that too, and I was like, I can't be drinking. What am I thinking? What am I doing? And I was just like, yeah, maybe I am dumb. So I started to believe that everything that my dad was saying, that I was just stupid and dumb, and I wasn't going to amount to anything. So I just dropped out my freshman year, and then my uncle met this girl and my sister. We were in the dune buggy. So my sister is 6 years younger than me and my sister. So when my mom and dad had her, they weren't as strict with her as they were with us. So she always wanted to be with us and be going with us places. So we used to have a dune buggy, and my sister was driving. It was me, and then it was my cousins, I think, and some friends that we would hang out with down the street. Well, my sister, our youngest sister, wanted to go with us. So we would jump off the dune buggy and onto the street, and sometimes we'd be on the street and then we would jump onto the dune buggy. Well, my sister wanted to do that, so when she did that, we told her not to do that and not to monkey see, monkey do. Well, she didn't listen to us, so she jumped off the dune buggy, and my sister ran over her with the dune buggy, and we broke her pelvic bone. And she was laying on the ground, and I was like, fudge, like, we're in so much trouble. They're gonna kill us. They're gonna kill us. So I jump off the dune buggy and I grab my sister and I'm all, hurry up, get up, walk. And she's like, I can't move. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And I'm trying to make her walk and get up, and she's like, I can't. So we grab her, and I think we carry her, and we carry her to one of our friends' house, and we're like, our mom is gonna kill us and our dad's gonna kill us. We ran over her with the dune buggy, and I don't know what happened. I think she broke something. She can't walk. And so my mom comes over there, and she's like, what happened? And our friend's mom's telling her what happened, and she's like ready to beat us up, and the mom's like, no, just, it's okay, just get her taken care of, get her to the hospital. So my mom rushes her to the emergency room, and her pelvic is broken. So, oh my gosh, that day was a crazy day. And I was like, see, I tell my sister, you don't monkey see, monkey do. You don't do what we do. Look at what happened, and stuff like that. And so I think my dad hit us when he got home, because he was so mad that happened. But my sister didn't want to listen to us. She was young. She wanted to do what we were doing. So my aunt and uncle were there, and he was dating a new girl. So they dated for a while, and then all of a sudden, I think I had asked her if I could go stay with her. And my aunt said, yeah, sure, but if you come stay with us, I want you to move with us. So I was like, cool. She's like, if your mom and dad will let you, you could come and live with us and move in with us. And I was like, okay, sounds like a plan. So I asked them if I could go and live with them, and they asked them, and they said, sure. It was my uncle and aunt, and they thought everything would be okay. So I moved in with them, and there was this guy that lived across the street from my aunt and my uncle, and he was a little bit older than me, and I don't know how old I was. I don't really know how old he was, but I know he was older than me, and we started dating. And my aunt liked him, so he would come hang out with us and stuff. My aunt and uncle used to hang out with him. Well, we moved. Yeah. So we moved, and my aunt and uncle moved, and I moved with them because we used to live there, and he used to live like across the street. Well, we moved, and he didn't live across the street anymore. And my aunt and uncle were going to Las Vegas because they were going to get married in Las Vegas, Nevada. And my mom and dad were going with them because they were going to be the padrino and padrina. And so they went with them. They were all getting an airplane. And me and my friend had moved in with me and my aunt and my uncle. So she started staying with us. Something happened with her and her mom, and she moved out. So she went to go stay with us, and she lived with us for a while. So she was there with me, and my aunt and them left, and my aunt told us that we were going to stay at the house, and her mom was going to come and check up on us all the time. Well, the mom never showed up, ever, since we were there. I think we were there for three days, the whole weekend. And she told my boyfriend that I was dating at the time, that the guy that was older than me, I was 15 at the time, I think, or 14, maybe 14, 15-ish, something around there. She told him he could come over with his friend, and my friend used to date his friend. So she told them that they could come over while they were gone, but they weren't supposed to stay the night. They were supposed to leave and to be good and not to be doing anything crazy or stupid or things that we shouldn't be doing. So they came over, and we were making hamburger helper, me and my friend. And they came over and they brought the Mickeys, that was the 40s. And, you know, me and my friend are young. We start drinking, and I start wanting to catch up to my friend because she was drinking more than me. So I start chugging this Mickey's, and all of a sudden, I'm fucked up. Like, fucked up. And I'm sick, and I'm throwing up, and they're taking me outside to get air, and they're bringing me back inside, and I'm throwing up, and they don't know what to do with me, and they're putting rags on my face and everything, and I'm just like so fucked up. His friend that was dating my friend started to like hit on me, and I was like telling him, "You're crazy, like I'm with your friend, what are you tripping, and you're with my friend." And so I told him what had happened that night with him and stuff. And so all of a sudden I'm like so drunk, like I'm so fucked up. And all of a sudden he puts me in my aunt's room in their bedroom, and all I remember is him being on top of me, and we're kissing and stuff, and he starts trying to pull up my shirt, and I'm like, no. And I just remember that I had a black shirt on, and he kept trying to, and I kept telling him no. All of a sudden I black out, and I don't remember nothing after this. And I guess he ended up taking my V card that night. Well, I didn't know this until the next morning. I woke up, he wasn't there. I looked around and I was like, what the heck? And he's gone. So I black out. I don't know nothing until I wake up. I wake up the next morning, I look around, no one's there. And all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck? Like, why don't I have anything on? And all of a sudden I find a condom. And I'm like crying and crying and crying. Well, he ended up date R word, the four-letter word. And I'm crying, and I call my friend into the room, and I tell her what happened, and I'm crying, and I'm like, why did this happen? This is not how I wanted to lose my V card. Like, I want to get married and, you know, and do it the right way. And I was just so devastated. Well, I ended up telling my aunt when they got back from out of town, and we were just like, why didn't her mom ever show up, you know? When we told her mom never showed up, and we told her what had happened, and she knew we were partying there while they were gone. And so I had to tell her. I told her everything that happened that night, and I told her, you know, I don't want to have nothing to do with him. And she's like, well, you should at least talk to him and let him know and ask him what the heck was he thinking. So I seen him one more time, and I asked him, and he was just like, he wanted it. And I was like, what do you mean I wanted it? I don't even remember. The last thing I remember is telling you no. Then I black out. And I was like, he took advantage of me. That's totally wrong. And so after that, I never seen him again. I didn't want to see him again either. And so we broke up, and I started going to school in Sandia. I think Sandia High School. Started going to that school, and I was still staying with my aunt, living there, stuff. Everything was nice. My aunt was really nice to me. My uncle was nice to me. But she used to let my baby daddy spend the night. So I met him while I was going to school, and there was this one girl, I guess, that he dated, or she still wanted to be with him. I don't know what happened, but we started dating, and she didn't like me, so she wanted to fight me. So me and her fought, and I ended up kicking her butt, and my aunt got really mad at me because I had fought. Well, before that incident happened and I had to move out and move back home, me and my baby daddy were, you know, dating for a while. We didn't sleep with each other right away. But I told him that what happened with my uncle and stuff, and he was like, well, haven't you told your mom and dad? And I'm like, no, I haven't told anybody. I don't want to tell anybody because they're not going to believe me. And he's like, well, I think you should. You really need to tell your parents. And I was like, no, I don't. And so couple months, maybe 2 months, 3 months, my aunt always used to let him spend the night and stuff, and we would just, you know, go to sleep, talk, cuddle, you know, make out, and fall asleep. And then finally one day he asked if he can have sex with me. And I said, yeah, sure. So we ended up having sex, and my aunt put me in the birth control pill for a while, and I didn't like it because it would make me bleed even more after those green pills that you take, and then you're into the other color, and I would still bleed sometimes. So I told my aunt I didn't want to take it, so I stopped taking the pill. So then I stood there, I got in a fight with that girl. My aunt told me I had to move back home.